Yes, June 23rd, 2023. As you can see, Charles Knowles bought the property, Gator Inn, in 1974, which is really disturbing to me. He also bought, I don't know what Chattels is, but he bought the property from Susan King, and that's the mother. There you go, 1974. So whoever saw him had to see him before 1974. Remember, at Chamberlain Bookmine, the girl that looked like Tina Fey, or the lady from Harry Potter, the girl with the glasses, small frame, little girl, she says, oh, my mom saw him when she was a child. She grew up at the Gator Inn. My grandparents owned the Gator Inn, something to that effect. I said, really? So their name is King. Mr. Knowles bought the property from the Gator Inn from Susan King, the mother, in 1974. So Bundy might have been here. Oh, my God. I hope it wasn't 74. I wish there was a way to know the dates. 74 sequence. I'll ask her on my way out. There it is, right there. Thank you. Right off the bat. That's good. Thank you. Book number 1974, Charles Knowles et al., whatever, Esquire, I guess, bought the property from Susan King in 1974. Spontaneously, in serendipity, I'm checking out at Bookmine 5 years ago. The girl says, my mom met him when she was a child at Gator Inn. My grandparents owned the Gator Inn, and my mom saw him when she was a child. So I said, okay, they built it in 1963, Sam King. He died in 72 of a heart attack. Susan King sold it to Mr. Charles Knowles in 1974, which sending chills down my spine because it says that Virginia Helm went missing in 74 with 5 other little girls, and they said Bundy couldn't be here because he was killing people in the Northwest. But in reality, he may have been here. The girl said, my mom saw him when she was a child. I didn't ask her to say that. Thank God for God in heaven, because I asked my dad to help me with this, and I may have helped solve a cold case. Very close to solving it now. Thank you very much. Okay, real quick, this is the YMCA. I will do an hour, maybe an hour, 5 minutes on the treadmill walking. The reason I'm walking here today is I'm going to go to the courthouse after this, hopefully, and then we'll research that. My next endeavor is to find Sylvia Mock, Cheryl, and Kathy Mock, and they live diagonally across from the Hogues, and see if they have any information on who may have been dating who. Not that it's any of my business, but I'd like to do that. And then there's the 1965-66 Forest High School yearbook to try to ascertain whether Jeannie had the same last name as Debbie and Vicky or a different last name. And then there's something about live birth that Bonnie mentioned. I don't know. But anyway, then there's the Howards. Paul Howard may be there, but he'd be quite old, probably about Bundy's age. And then they lived on Sudbury, kind of again, as they could see straight over. And then Kevin Elson lived a house or two down. And then, of course, Gregory Parker lived a house or two down. So some of those may have some knowledge that I don't have. Debbie's only affirmation is, don't obsess about something that happened 56 years ago now. I just want to prove that he was in Jacksonville. It's kind of like somebody threw down a gauntlet, and I have to prove it. I don't let go of things. I don't let go of things. I want to prove this. And I know in my heart, in my mind, I said, yeah, he was here. I was reading Ann Rule's last chapter. She said, he did not want to know. He would tell people he was going one place and go another. Okay, thank you. Okay, my next endeavor is the courthouse to see if we can find a paper thing showing when Mr. Knowles bought the Gator Inn. Remember, the girl said, I was checking out with Ann Rule's book, and she said, my mom met him when she was a child. I said, what? She said, yeah, my grandparents owned the Gator Inn on Phillips, the Gator Inn. And I said, oh, that's wild. And then I moved on because there were people in line. We have this. Mr. Knowles sold it in 8879. And then this guy bought it in 8879, J. Shreer Laxmi Kubar, LLC. He was the owner that bought it then. I guess after Mr. King died in 72, his wife Susan would have inherited the Gator Inn. And she would have had like a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old. When did she sell it? It wasn't making that great of money. There was a lot to run a motel and raise 2 children. Better to sell, buy a home, and get a regular job. I don't know. But sometime after, now the news article that Mark Woods wrote said after Mr. Sam King died, they sold the thing a few years later. Now, what is few? I looked up few, and it means 3.5 years in legal terms. A few years. 79 would be too long. And then we have Charles in it. We have Charles Knowles that bought it in between. Okay, let's go see what it is. Wish me luck. Bye-bye. Good afternoon, June 23rd, 2023. This is a federal office building. It was built in 1965, and a Hispanic man put these man's turmoil or man's stuff sculptures on it. I'm going to park here. I worked here 37 years from, I believe, August 13th, 1979 until September 30th, I believe, 2016, 37 years. All right, I'm parking here so I can be off street, and I will go to the federal courthouse and see if I can look through the papers and find when this man bought the home. If I can show it was any time other than 78. Of course, if it was 68, that's the problem anyway, because he could have drove up from the Miami convention and just stopped here midway. But the fact that he said, gentlemen, I guess I'm the entertainment tonight. Oh, I'm in charge of entertainment. Well, that's what Jean was. She was in charge of entertainment. All right. Jean, the mother, not Jeannie. All right. Bye-bye. I'm here at the credit union. So I put $1,000 in my IRA earlier, and now I put another $500. So I have $1,500 in the IRA this year, traditional IRA. And I put $500 into a CD that came due yesterday, and it's going from like 1.89 to 3.54. So I've locked it in for the 5 years, excuse me. And it'll be paying, I think it's like $240 more a year or something. No, it may just be, but it's $10 a month. So I get an extra $10 a month. Every little bit helps. But then on the other hand, if I go into another tax bracket, the $1,500 may drop me down out of that tax bracket. It doesn't take but $50 to drop you down out of a tax bracket. I don't know if they're going to do the $500, $300 charity thing. So the next is gym walking, and then courthouse to see when Charles Knowles purchased the Gator Inn, if at all possible. Thank you. Here we are again, headed to the federal courthouse to look at the paper records to find when Charles Knowles bought the Gator Inn. Hopefully prior to the events of 78. And that means that they saw him sometime. I hope it's not 68 or 78. Well, it could be 68 because she sold it. So they could have seen him in 68, though, which would make somewhat logical sense since he was here for the grand old party convention in Miami. Maybe he drove up from there, and since it was a restaurant and motel that catered to politicians, maybe he was advised to stop there. She said spontaneously and serendipity, my mom saw him in the Gator Inn. She grew up there. My grandparents owned the Gator Inn, which would have been Sam and Susan King. And her 2 possible people are Lisa and Linda King, who I sent one letter to her out on Hexture. We'll see. Thank you.